what is it that user experience professionals actually do? Like, what are the activities that are part of a UX professional's work? I want to start this by talking about something called the interface. So whenever someone is using technology to do something, they are interacting with that piece of technology. And they're actually interacting with a portion of the technology that we call the interface. So if you think about a software or an app or a camera, there's all the guts behind it. With a camera, there'll be all the mechanics of what's inside the camera. With an app, there's all the stuff of software and programming that's behind the app. And the user is not directly interacting with any of that. They are indirectly interacting with that because what they're really interacting with is this thing called the interface. So there's a layer of interaction between the thing, the camera, the software, the app, and the user. And that layer is the interface. And that's the part of the product that the user experience professional is working on and designing. So when we talk about UX work, when I talk about UX work, I talk about the work that's involved in designing that interface layer. Now, I want to say that some of the definitions and the terms that I'm going to use as we talk in this section and some of the other sections in the course are my view, my opinion. I have decades of years of working in this field, and so I have pretty strong opinions about what we call things and how we define things. You're going to find out, if you haven't already, that every UX person, every UX professional, every expert out there has their own set of definitions and terms, and we don't always match. So just to let you know as we move forward, and I'll kind of let you know where the ideas are controversial. And we're coming up to some of them right now. So let's talk about then some of the work and activities that a UX person does in order to design that interface layer. So the first thing I'm going to say about this is that it does not involve programming. And that's one of the controversial places. So if you, for instance, are creating a job for a user experience professional, or if you are applying for a job in the field of UX, sometimes the job description talks about being able to do programming and development, and meaning actually writing the code, for instance, of the app, or writing part of the code. And I'm of the opinion that is not part of the UX professional's job. That involves programming and that involves coding, and it's very important and it's very critical, but that's not the same as designing that interface layer. So I'm making a separation between design and development. So I can design that interface layer without doing any development or programming work at all. And as I said, not everybody agrees with me on this, so just so you know, that's my opinion. So I'm going to say that part of the UX work that a UX professional does not include programming and development. So what does it include? Well, it includes the following things. First of all, it includes being able to do some amount of user research. We talked about the principle of knowing your target audience and knowing the context of use. Well, how do you find that out? Well, you need to be able to get information on your users and the context. And that might include doing interviews of users. It might include doing observations of users. It might include also interviewing your stakeholders, the people who are sponsoring the project. Remember, we said we need to know what the goals of the organization or the sponsor are, and so you may need to be interviewing them and talking to them. And these are all part of doing what we call user research. Another activity that I think is really important for UX professionals has to do with design, right? Well, that kind of makes sense. But I actually get a little more specific and I separate design into two areas. One is a high level, what I call conceptual model design, making decisions about at a high level about how things should be structured and how things should be named. And then the other is a more detailed level of design. And this is what a lot of people think about when they think about UX design. They think about these detail, the layout of screens and pages, the creation of forms, and so on. So design has two pieces. One is high level and the other is detailed design. In this design phase, there's also work that a UX professional might do in terms of prototyping, sketching, storyboarding, creating mock-ups. That would be prototyping of what the screens and pages, or you can also prototype a voice interface, but mocking up what that experience is going to be like. And then the last set of activities that a UX professional does has to do with testing. So after you do all your research and after you do all your design, you're going to want to test the mock-ups and the ideas you have with actual users, and you're going to want to iterate and change the design based on what you find. So these are all very typical activities of a user experience professional.